Hello everyone, welcome back. So we are continuing with the GATE question paper 2017 and we are doing the only organic questions. So right now I am going to do question number 46 to 50 of GATE 2017, right? So the first question says the major product formed in the following reaction. What is the reaction? You are having a molecule. On the molecule you have alcohol, two alcoholic groups are there, and then you are having a alkene group here, and then you are putting Ag2CO3 on silyte. Ag2CO3 is a mild oxidizing agent and it is called as Fenton's reagent. Okay, and Fenton's reagent is so mild that it does two things at one time. One thing is, even if it oxidizes primary alcohol, it will stop at aldehyde, it will not take it to carboxylic acid first thing. So it oxidizes only up to aldehyde, it will not oxidize further to carboxylic acid because it is mild oxidizing agent. Further, it is even milder than normal. Such things could be achieved even by PCC, but why we are using Ag2CO3? Because it is so mild that it does not oxidize any primary alcohol, but it will oxidize only allylic alcohol. So when double bond is there, next carbon to it is called as allylic position. So this is allylic position, this is allylic position. So you can see here on this allylic position we have OH. Here there is carbon, so we don't talk about this, we talk about this. So on the allylic position there is OH, so it is called as allylic alcoholic group. So it will oxidize only allylic alcohol group, that means this one and not this one. Okay, so what happens in the reaction? You oxidize it and this part becomes oxidized, alcohol becomes aldehyde, and you are getting this. And then what happens is you are having this OH. OH can nucleophilic attack on this carbon because you are still heating and refluxing in solvent, right? So now since oxygen is attacking, oxygen is a hard nucleophile. So when you have alpha beta unsaturated ketone, see this is ketone, so this is ketone, so alpha and beta. So you can see at the alpha beta you have alkene, so it is called as alpha beta unsaturated ketone. On this is called as carbon position number 1, position number 2, position number 3 and position number 4. If the attack happens on position number 2, we call it 1,2 addition. If the attack happens on position number 4, we call it 1,4 addition. Now carbon number 4 is called as soft electrophilic center. Why? Because here carbon has p orbital and p orbital is quite large, so it is easy to delocalize and therefore it is soft. Soft means easy to polarize, whereas the p orbital on this carbon is very much shrunk because it has to oxygen. Oxygen is electronegative, pulls the electron cloud towards itself, and therefore this lobe is very much shrunk. Okay, and therefore this is hard center because it is hard to polarize. Polarize means pull. It is hard to pull this, whereas this oxygen is also hard nucleophile. So the attack will happen here and not on this position, right? So now let's see what is happening here. So here, as you can see, the lone pair is attacking here, this is coming up, you get a negative charge, this pulls away proton and you are getting this molecule. Now the interesting thing is, that's why it's a GATE competitive question. They will not stop here, they will ask you tough question. So they will look at your observation. You have to look and see that this OH is still in the allylic position because the double bond is still there and next carbon 2 is still allylic position and OH is still intact, and therefore when you oxidize it further, this gets further oxidized and becomes ketone. At the end what we are getting is a lactone ring, that means ester, intramolecular ester. Okay, so the answer is C. Moving on to the next question, the product formed in the following photochemical reaction is. So you are having this molecule and you are putting photochemical reaction. So photochemical reaction, some 5 are there, you have to remember. Pattern-Obuchi is there, Norris type 1, type 2, and this dipymethane is then. Okay, so in this dipymethane what happens is, see when you see H, two things can happen. One is pericyclic reaction and one is photochemical reaction. So look here, pericyclic reaction is very tough. I cannot see any pericyclic reaction happening. So it must be photochemical reaction. So photochemical reaction we have to find out. Now this kind of system, this kind of rearrangement under photochemical conditions called as dipi rearrangement, dipymethane rearrangement. Sorry. Why dipymethane? Because you see here there is a pi bond here and there is a pi bond here. So two pi bonds are there, two alkenes are there. So dipymethane. In between there is a carbon which is sp3 hybridized. In between there is a carbon which is sp3 hybridized, right? And therefore it's like methane. Okay, it's like methane, substitute methane you can say, and therefore it is dipymethane rearrangement. So what happens here is you get this kind of product at the end, vinyl cyclopropyl system. So you get a cyclopropyl system which is attached directly to an alkene, and therefore it is called as vinyl position is directly alkene is there, and to that functional group is there, so it is called as vinyl position. So vinyl cyclopropyl system, how it happens is initially you get 1,5 diradical. So this comes here, this comes here, you get a sigma bond here, and you get pi here, you count 1 2 3 4 5. So it is 1,5 diradicals, and then one of the cyclopropane ring is formed. You can see here cyclopropyl ring is formed. So one of the bond of the cyclopropyl, this or this, breaks up basically. Okay, so we are showing here this one, so doesn't matter, I could have shown this, it would have been same. So we are breaking this, so here one place it forms pi bond, other thing goes and forms cyclopropyl ring, and that's how you get vinylic position, vinylic cyclopropyl system. I hope I am making sense. Please look into it, it's very clear. Yeah, so this goes and forms here bond, you understand? So 1 2 3, so 3 ring is 3 carbon ring is formed, so it is forming cyclopropyl ring. So how it is happening? So first is this in the given molecule, these two pi bond, they both become radical and this forms bond, and you are getting a sigma bond here. And then what happens? And then one of the bond has to break. Let me show. Either this bond will break or this bond will break, right? Let us imagine a bond is breaking. I showed previously also, either of the bonds can break. If this is bond is breaking, what happens? Straight away this forms pi bond, and this one will get radical character. So this one is anyway, you are getting cyclopropyl you are getting this cyclopropyl kind of system and a radical here, and you are getting radical on this carbon. Now what happens on this carbon? This radical is much more stable than had the cleavage happened on position B and you got a radical here. Why? Because it has phenyl ring. Phenyl ring has resonance and 3 pi bonds are there. So all of them can take part in resonance. And therefore this radical is delocalized over a bigger system. So quite stable. So it is no hurry to immediately react. So it stays like that for the next step to happen, and before that this bond breaks and forms bond here. Okay. Whereas here it happens, what happens? You are getting a radical here. This is not as stable as phenyl ring, because here stabilization is coming because of this inductive effect. But you know, when 2 phenyl ring was there, you are getting stabilization by resonance effect. Resonance effect is much more than your inductive effect, and therefore radical here is stabilized rather than radical here, and therefore it cleaves up this side on the position A, and you are getting this, and then it forms a bond, and then you are getting cyclopropyl ring. So the answer is D. Moving on to the next question. Among the following decahydroquinoline toluene sulfonates, yes, the one that yields 9-methyl-amino E nonenal as a major product under aqueous sololysis. Aqueous sololysis basically means hydrolysis. You are putting H3O plus and you are hydrolyzing it, you are adding water. So when such question comes, first you have to it's best to first draw the product so that you start getting some idea. Before I do that, I'll just tell you how do you know that it is decahydroquinoline system. So this is the raw quinoline. It has 5 pi bonds. So if you want to completely saturate it, you have to put 10 hydrogens, so that this every place hydrogen gets added and all the 5 pi bond gets saturated. So you see here in all the system here there's no pi bond. So basically in the quinoline 10 electrons 10 hydrogens have been added, therefore it is decahydroquinoline, right? Therefore it is decahydroquinoline. Next is we should draw the product. The product says 9-methyl amino. So at position 9 I am having amino methyl, okay, and I am having non E. E means E alkene. Alkene is there, which is of E configuration. E means across, trans. Okay, E non-enal. Best will be just draw non-enal. So enal, al is aldehyde. That's the functional group. So carbon number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then what it said at position 9 you are having methyl amino. So at position number 9 you are having N and you are having methyl group. And it says position number 5 you are having E, correct? It is having position number 5 you are having 5 ene. Ene means alkene, ene means alkene, al means aldehyde. So aldehyde we have done. Aldehyde is basically position number 1, but ene is that position 5, so it is alkene and it is E configuration. So you have to put the trans here. So you have to put both the H away from each other because they get lower priority, whereas this one gets higher priority. Carbon is there. Carbon has atomic number of 6, whereas hydrogen has atomic number of 1. So in between these two, carbon gets higher priority, hydrogen gets second priority, whereas here again carbon gets first priority, hydrogen gets second priority. So you are having this kind of system and you are getting this. This is E configuration. So now basically what has happened, see the starting material. Starting material, there is no pi bond. At the end you are getting pi bond here plus aldehyde. That we'll see how it is forming. But thing is, if alkene is being formed, that means elimination reaction is happening. Okay, elimination reaction is happening. This N becomes last. You see at the end you are having NCH3 and mostly this will be cleaving up so that you are getting a longer chain, and then you must be getting double bond here. It cleaves up here so that you are getting this OTS that will form of aldehyde. We'll see that part. But before that, what we have to see another thing is what kind of systems are given in the question. In the question the systems given are cis and trans decalene system. Decalene means 10 carbons are there. So it is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 carbons are there. Here nitrogen is there, but basically 10 membered ring it is. And there is an alkene, there is a bridging carbon. Okay, now it can be cis decalene or trans decalene. Here one hydrogen is toward the viewer and one hydrogen is away from the viewer. You know that whichever is solid, that means towards the viewer, whichever is dash is away from the viewer. So this is trans decalene and you are having this one as cis decalene because both hydrogen are away from the viewer, that means on the same side. Here both the hydrogens, one is towards the viewer, one is away from the viewer. Here is again both are away from the viewer, right? So we have to first find out which system will work, trans decalene or cis decalene. After that we can figure out which one will be giving the given product. So if you look at this molecule, this is trans decalene. You have to always convert such systems into chair conformation. So converted into chair conformation and you look at carbon number 1 on the bridge, next to the bridge you are having nitrogen CH3. So here also I have done on the carbon next to the on the position next to the bridging carbon I am putting NCH3. So we are having trans decalene system, that means both hydrogen are in opposite planes. This hydrogen is above the plane, this hydrogen is below the plane. whereas this is cis-decylene. Why is it cis-decylene? Because this hydrogen is below the plane, even this hydrogen is below the plane, because this carbon is above the plane. You can see between this and this is below and this is above, right? So now we have to find out which one is actually giving the product. Now we saw that if you break here and here, you will get the product. You are getting alkene. For elimination reaction to happen, two bonds have to break here. So this one and this one. Now if you break here, you get E-alkene. So you see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we saw that in nonenal at position number 5 you are having the alkene. So you can see at position number 5 you are getting this alkene, and I should have drawn from here actually. I should have counted from here 1, 2, 3, 4, but doesn't matter, it comes at 5 itself, and nonal part is there, nonane part is there. So you are getting E-alkene. You are getting E-alkene, right? What you are getting is E-alkene, and both hydrogens are in the opposite plane, you can see here. But if you take cis-decylene, then if you break here, then what happens? This hydrogen is below, this is also below, so here both the hydrogens are coming below the plane, so it is Z-alkene, right? Both the priority, this is the higher priority, both the priorities are on the same side, higher priorities on the same side and the lower priority on the same side, so it is giving Z-alkene. So very clearly we cannot use Z-alkene, you cannot use cis-decylene, you have to use trans-decylene. So which are the trans-decylene systems provided in the question? The trans-decylene systems provided in the question are this one, because here hydrogen is toward the viewer, here hydrogen away from the viewer, and this one A and C. Now B and D have been neglected because they were cis-decylene, and we saw cis-decylene is not giving your E-alkene product. Now we have to look both of them separately. For elimination reaction to happen, the bond which is cleaving, they should be anti-periplanar to each other. So basically if you see here how the reaction happening is, here OTS is there, OTS is being attacked by water, then this comes here, this breaks up here, and this opens up, and you are getting alkene. That's how the reaction is happening. You saw OTS. Why OTS? Because oxygen attached to TS is an excellent leaving group. So this OH water will attack here, this cleaves up, and you get tosyl alcohol. Okay, para-toluene sulfonic acid, actually that's the product, and it breaks up and you are getting this. So now what is happening is basically this and this, they both have to be anti-periplanar to each other, and this have to be anti-periplanar to each other. Okay, I'm sorry, this and this have to be anti-periplanar to each other, because these two are interacting to form the pi bond, and these two are interacting and basically breaking up to give the pi bond, and therefore this and this have to be anti-periplanar to each other, and this have to be anti-periplanar to each other. If you look at A, what was given? Yeah, if you look at A, you are having this. So if you draw it as chair conformation, so NCH3 is there, this hydrogen is toward the viewer, so draw it above the plane. This hydrogen is away from the viewer, so draw it below the plane. And then you are having OTS away from the viewer, so draw it below the plane. And this H is not shown here, but it's very clear, H is there toward the viewer, so I have drawn it above the plane. Okay, now cleavage has to happen. Now these two part no problem, because it's trans-alkene, they both are anti-periplanar to each other, but this and this also have to be anti-periplanar to each other. Okay, so let's see here. Oh, we are talking about molecule A now. Yeah, if we see in molecule A, this part is anti-periplanar to each other, but this part and this part are not anti-periplanar to each other. Anti-periplanar means they should be parallel, basically 180 degrees to each other. So these two, you can see they are parallel to each other. Angle between them is 0 or 180 degrees, whatever you call it. Okay, so these two is taken care of, but this OTS is what is cleaving. So this and this has to be anti-periplanar, which is not. So A is not the reactant which is giving the product. Whereas if you come to C, so these two parts is anyway anti-periplanar to each other. This OTS and this OTS and this, they both are anti-periplanar to each other, because this is what is interacting to give you alkene, and therefore C is the reaction, because this goes and attack tosyl, this comes here, and this comes out, and you are getting this product. So because only in C these two are anti-periplanar to each other, therefore C is the answer. Let us look at C. Yeah, so from here it's very tough to make out, but you have to draw and then you have to see, then you will see that these two are anti-periplanar to each other, whereas this and this is not anti-periplanar to each other. So the answer is C. Right, moving on to the next question. The product obtained in the following solvolysis reaction. Solvolysis basically, again, you have the solvent which is breaking it up, hydrolyzing it in its own capacity. So here you are having acetic acid, so this is what is hydrolyzing, and you are having the salt, sodium acetate, so it catalyzes the reaction, or you can say acetate is this itself reacts, this helps in catalyzing the reaction. So you are having this enantiomerically pure. They are asking what kind of product is formed. That means OAC is already there. This is OAC. AC is acetate. Aceta means CH3 next to the functional group. So since it is ester, next to that is CH3, it is acetate. So here also acetate will come. So this OAC minus will attack here. OAC minus will attack here. OTS will leave, and you are getting diacetate. It is asking what is the stereochemistry of them with reference to each other. And also, one second, and also they are specifically asking stereochemistry of product. So one is cis and trans, so trans or cis, so two of them will straight away go off once we figure out which product is this. And then after that they are asking, is it just pure enantiomerically pure product, because you are starting with enantiomerically pure reactant, or you are having a racemic mixture of both. Okay, so see here, if it was normal acetate attacking, you would have got, see, this OTS is away from the viewer, right? OTS is away from the viewer, that means its anti-bonding orbital is toward the viewer, it is opposite 180 degrees. See here there is a hydrogen which has not shown here. Hydrogen is towards the viewer, and this OTS is away from the viewer, so its antibond is coming even front of this hydrogen, and therefore OAC will attack on this, and it pushes hydrogen down, and we would have got OAC towards the viewer, and so we would have got both the OAC, towards the viewer, right? But thing is, you have to look, they will not ask such simple question. There is what is called as neighboring group participation. So this OAC is there, this will go and pump electron here, and then this leaves. So you are getting first inversion of configuration. So see here, OTS is away from the viewer, so its anti-bonding is towards the viewer, opposite side it is even front of this hydrogen, so it goes and attacks, pushes the hydrogen down, and this comes front. So hydrogen goes away from the viewer, and you get this. So this is first inversion of configuration. And then what happens? Then second acetate attacks. But acetate will of course attack from behind. So if it attacks from behind, why? Because this is toward the viewer, this bonding orbital is toward the viewer, so anti-bonding is behind, even behind this hydrogen. So this will attack here and push it front, so you will get trans to each other. So this acetate is front, next acetate is away from the viewer. So definitely the answer is either A or D. Answer is either A or D. A means you are getting racemic mixture, D means, oh sorry, not D, not D, sorry, not D. Yeah, either A or B, because B says enantiomerically pure trans 1,2-dioxane. So it is very clear that we are getting trans. Now is it racemic mixture or enantiomerically pure? We have to find out. C and D has been removed. Now what you see here is acetate can attack on this carbon or can attack this carbon. Imagine if it attacks this carbon, because this is leaving, this leaves, and you are getting this OAC away from the viewer. It would have also attacked from here on this carbon, because still it is a good leaving group. So it can attack from here, this comes here, and you are getting this. In either case you are getting trans. You see here also you are getting trans acetate, and here also you are getting trans acetate. But the thing is, when attack happens at position number 1 and attack at position number 2, you are getting not the same enantiomers. Why? Because if you look at 1A and B, this is A and this is B. You do how much ever rotation, you will see that they are not superimposable on each other. If I just lift this molecule and put on this, then what happens? This carbon superimposes, this carbon superimposes. So this whole part of the ring superimposes, but this OAC is front, this H is behind. So it is this OAC is behind. So they both are not sitting on each other. This OAC will sit on H and this H is sitting on OAC. So this is not superimposable. What if you rotate? Even if you rotate, you will see that even if you rotate like this, imagine if you rotate it like that 180 degrees, still you will see that once you rotate, this goes up. So OAC is again front and this OAC goes behind. So these two are again not superimposable. I hope I am making sense. Okay, I hope I am making sense. And therefore one thing is very clear, they are not superimposable. But are they enantiomers? For that you to see, are they mirror images or not? So you will see that A and B are actually mirror images. You just rotate it like this 180 degrees. Just rotate it 180 degrees like that, B. Okay. So when you are rotating like that, OAC goes behind, H front. So OAC was front, no. So when you are rotating 180 degrees, OAC goes behind. Similarly, this OAC which is behind comes front, and then you see that they both are mirror images. So you are getting equal mixture of A and B. So it is racemic mixture of the product, trans product. Therefore answer is A. Last question. The last question says the spectroscopic data for the organic compound given molecular formula this. Whenever molecular formula is there, first thing you should find is always unsaturation index. How many double bonds or ring equivalents are present? Okay. Then it says IR. IR is around 1750. 1750, it is looking more to me like esters. Aldehyde and ketone come around 1700, 1710 maximum. There it goes. It will maximum go to 1715 or 20. Esters comes around 1735. So it looks like ester to me 1750. So it might be a like stronger bond, C double bond O. Somewhere it is being pulled. And then let's look at NMR. Proton NMR says you are having at 7.3 5 protons. 5 protons, basically 7.3 is aromatic region. So the benzene ring which is monosubstituted. So if a benzene ring is there, on that one substituent is there, then what happens? The rest 5 are free. The rest 5 hydrogens are free. So they will show up as 5 proton signal. They will show as 5 proton signal. So this is the evidence we have got offhand as we are reading. What else we see? Then comes 5.85, quite high value. Okay. So that means this protons are on the carbon which is quite deshielded. That means on the carbon on which this hydrogen is there, only one hydrogen is there, see one proton signal. That is beside some electronegative atom, mostly oxygen, because that's what is given in the question. You are having only oxygen. Interesting thing is coupling constant. Look at the coupling constant. Coupling constant is 7.2 hertz, and when I come here, you see here also the coupling constant is 7.2 hertz. That means this is exactly, they both are splitting each other in equal amount. That means this is very important. This is important piece of information. If this coupling constant is 7.2 hertz and this coupling constant is 7.2 hertz, that means this proton is splitting these 3 protons and these 3 protons are splitting this proton, right? And this is 1.5, so definitely this is beside another carbon. It is not shielded, deshielded at all. And there is 2.05 singlet 3 proton, so that means it is not getting split. So let's look into it in detail way. So let's find out unsaturation index. So this is the formula, you have to mug it easy. It is quite easy. C minus H by 2 minus X by 2 plus N by 2 plus 1. This is universal. It will work everywhere. So oxygen does not come into picture. So oxygen does not change the formula unsaturation index. So H is hydrogen, X is halogen, N is nitrogen. So in this carbon 10 carbons are there, 12 hydrogens are there. So 10 minus 12 by 2, this is of no use, this is of no use because no nitrogen, no halogen, plus 1 is equal to 5. So 5 means, if you think about benzene ring, benzene has already 4 because 3 pi bonds. So unsaturation index of 3 plus 1 ring, that is 5. Okay, sorry, 4. 3 double bonds, so that is 3 plus 1 ring, that is 4. One more must be there, which we will find out. Then it says IR peak is coming around 1750. So that I said looks like ester. So ester has double bond O. So that accounts to 5. 4 plus 1, 5. Now proton and M are very clearly said. 5 proton multiplet at 7.3. 7.3 is aromatic region. Multiplet and 5 protons. So has to be monosubstituted benzene ring. Okay. Then what it says? Then it says at 5.85 there is a quartet single proton, coupling constant 7.2 hertz. 7.2 hertz is quite high. That means generally when it is just alkane group, next it is there, then it will be splitting, coupling constant is quite high, that is around 7.2 hertz. So it says it is quartet. Okay, quartet means beside this proton, this is a proton, single proton, one proton signal is given here. See here, one proton, that means one proton is there. It is being split by 3 hydrogens because it is getting split into quartet. N plus 1 rule is there. Okay, so how many hydrogens are there? 3 hydrogens are there. 3 hydrogens plus 1, that is 4. Therefore it is getting split as quartet, 4 signals and 7.2 hertz. So that is very clearly CH, which is beside CH3. That's why quartet. This much is very clear. Apart from that, if you see, this hydrogen is being split, this hydrogen is coming at very high, 5.85. So this must be beside oxygen. That is my first inference. Okay. Second says 2.05. It's not very much less. It's not much less. Okay, and the peak value, the ppm. Okay, so the ppm is 2.05 delta. So this delta value is quite high, 2.05. So it is also quite deshielded, but not very much deshielded. So something like this looks good to me. CH3 C double bond O, because C double bond O withdraws electron, but not so much. So therefore it is not coming within 1 or less than 1. It is coming 2.05 because it is this one. And it says singlet and 3 proton. 3 proton means CH3, no doubt about it, because 3 proton signal it is giving. Singlet means there is a carbon beside it which does not have any proton. So this looks good to me because there is a carbon beside it which does not have any hydrogen. And ester fits everything because 2 oxygens are there in the question. So one C double bond O, another oxygen. At 1.5 proton we are having doublet 3 proton. Doublet means beside it there should be there should be a carbon with 1 hydrogen and 3 protons. So this is the CH3, very low value 1.5, so it is beside another carbon, and coupling constant we saw 7.2 was for previous one also, so definitely it must be to that carbon which is having one hydrogen. So we talked about it before. So this CH3 is the 1.5 doublet and coupling constant as 7.2 hertz. So now what all we are having? So you are having CH3, CH, R is there, and this one is so very high, so it is oxygen. So basically, and there is a benzene ring which is monosubstituted, and there is a R group here. So you are having this group which we found out very clearly, and so the overall molecule is this proton NMR. Now it gives the overall picture. You see here, this is monosubstituted, 5 proton signal around 7. Then you are having this hydrogen. This is on the carbon which is beside oxygen, so it is coming around 5.85, coupling constant around 7.2. Same this CH3, this hydrogen is also having coupling constant 7.2 because it is split by this hydrogen, and this hydrogen split by this CH3, and it is giving 3 proton signal, and it is attached to oxygen. So it is attached to carbon, not to oxygen. Therefore, coupling constant is coming around 1.5, and this CH3, this is attached to one carbon which is having carbonyl group. So this is coming around 2.05 I think, and 3 protons are there, and because these 3 protons are quite these 3 protons are beside carbon which does not have any hydrogen, so it is coming as singlet. So the answer is this. What is the name? Name is this molecule, common name is this part is acetate. Ester is there and aceta CH3 is there, so it is acetate, and you are having 1-phenyl ethyl. Why 1-phenyl ethyl? Because from this we start counting. It is 1 and 2 carbons are there, so it is ethyl, and at carbon number 1 you are having phenyl, so that comes in bracket, so you are having 1-phenyl ethyl acetate. After solving so much, still they don't give you direct answer. You have to find out from the name. If it was direct, maybe you could have got it much easier, but then you should write also the name. So it is very clear, the product is answer is B, that is 1-phenyl ethyl acetate, right? That's it for today. Thank you very much.